What happens when a slab pie meets up with the quiche at a fancy restaurant and they go home together? Bam! You get an epic slab quiche. Well, get ready because we are making my over-the-top sausage and red onion sheet pan quiche. The most famous quiche of all is Quiche Lorraine. I think everyone knows who she is, but she has had her time to shine. It is time to switch things up. We are making quiche Justin. First things first, we need to make our pastry dough. And because we're making a sheet pan quiche, we need a lot of pastry dough. So we are starting with 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. To the flour, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. I want my crust to be super duper savory, so we're gonna add some black pepper. Now we're just gonna pulse it to mix. Next up is some butter. I wanna cut it into 1/2-inch cubes and make sure it's really cold. I pop mine in the freezer for like 20 minutes, and we're gonna go ahead and scatter it right on top of the flour. Then you're gonna pulse this until the butter resembles small peas. This is what you're looking for. We're gonna go ahead and add some really cold water. It should be ice water. Just sort of drizzle it or sprinkle it on top, and then we're gonna go ahead and incorporate it. Put the lid back on and then pulse it until your dough is evenly moistened. It looks really shaggy, that is okay. At this point, we're gonna use our palms or a bench scraper to just sort of gently knead the dough and fold it over itself until it comes together. Okay, this looks good, and you could see there are still streaks and chunks of butter. That is what you're looking for because it's gonna ensure a nice flaky crust. Let's get this wrapped in plastic. And pastry dough done. This is going into the refrigerator for 1 hour. Okay, our pastry is nice and chilled, and now we're gonna go ahead and roll it out. We want a rectangle that's about 20 inches by 15 inches because we're going big. Dust your work surface with some all-purpose flour. I like to start in the middle and sort of roll either towards me or away from me. Then I rotate my dough and I do the exact same thing. If at any point your dough starts to stick, just dust a little bit more flour either under it or over it and just keep rolling. This is what I'm talking about. This is a pastry dough. All right, we're at about 12. Okay, we need a little bit more, a couple more inches on either side. Let's do one more measure. Okay, we're done. Put the rolling pin on one side of your crust and you're just gonna sort of gently roll it up. And this is how we're gonna transfer it to a parchment-lined baking sheet here. Gentle, gentle. Don't mess it up, Justin. Got it, okay. And we're just gonna go ahead and slide it right on here. Oh, it's a big one. Once you get it onto the baking sheet, you're just gonna sort of press it into all the corners and up the side. You want it nice and even. You might have spots where you don't have quite enough dough. That's okay because you can just trim it and sort of just relocate it. You're gonna trim off so there's just about a 1/4 inch of overhang. Then just take that 1/4 inch of overhang and fold it behind itself. So I'm crimping, I'm crimping, I'm crimping, you're crimping, I'm crimping, and voila! Look at this, check it out, it is so gigantic. It is already epic. Once your edges are crimped, this is gonna go into the freezer for about 45 minutes. We want it really cold. Okay, look at this. Crimped dough, nice and cold. We're gonna pre-bake it before we fill it to protect the crust. We're gonna line it with some parchment. If you need to, use 2 sheets. I don't know anyone who has enough pie weights to fill this epic crust. So we're gonna use dried beans. And you just pour them right on the parchment. Smooth them out so they're nice and even. Into a 400-degree oven, 30-40 minutes. You want the edges to be sort of lightly brown. Then we're gonna remove those beans, we're gonna remove the parchment, and then we're gonna bake it till it's golden and crisp. Crust is baked, crust is cooled. It's time to make our filling. Now remember, this is not Quiche Lorraine, this is Quiche Justin, so we are not using bacon, we are using breakfast sausage. So get a nice big skillet, heat it up with about 1 tablespoon of canola oil. And we're gonna go ahead and add our breakfast sausage right into the skillet. This isn't gonna take long, 5-6 minutes. While it's cooking, just break it up with a wooden spoon. While this sausage cooks, let's go ahead and get some cheese ready. We need 9 ounces of shredded Gruyere. Woo, woo. Somebody call the cheese people. Tell them to sell shredded Gruyere. Oh. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, sausage is done. Go ahead and cut the heat and just transfer it to a bowl. Just try not to get too much of that excess oil. You go over here. Cheese is gonna go over here. So in addition to our sausage and our cheese, we want some red onion. After all, it's in the title. Bam! That's like a TikTok move. You spin it, then you chop it, but it's dangerous, kids. Don't do it. All right, get it peeled, and then you wanna cut this into thin slices and then separate those slices into rings. Because when we fill our quiche with them, they're gonna sort of hold all the other things. They're gonna hold a little bit of the sausage, they're gonna secure the cheese. In addition to some onion, we want some fresh thyme. We're not gonna chop them, we're just gonna pick them off the stems. Once you've got your sausage, onion, thyme, and cheese ready to go, you're gonna sort of scatter them haphazardly. Have you ever seen so much cheese? After the cheese, you're gonna wanna go in with that sausage. Next up, onion rings. You just want a sort of nice, even layer. If you have a little bit left over, just save it for a salad. Before we sprinkle our thyme on top, we're gonna wanna add our custard. We're using a lot of eggs. We're using 18, so let's get them into this giant bowl. That was 5, 7. I'm gonna be cracking eggs all dang day. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's one more. Found it. 18 eggs! Whew, I'm exhausted. So we're gonna add a whopping 1 tablespoon of kosher salt and 1.5 teaspoons of freshly ground black pepper. Bam, looks good. All right, let's go ahead and beat this. Ooh, sloshy, sloshy, sloshy. To our eggs, we want to whisk in half and half. And this is gonna make our custard. Custard done. We're gonna very carefully pour it over all of these delicious fillings. This is crazy town. Okay, custard in. Now we're going for that thyme. So just take all those amazing little fragrant thyme leaves and just sprinkle them on top. This epic quiche is going into a 400-degree oven for about 35 minutes. It should be puffed and just lightly browned. Check out this epic quiche. But of course, any delicious quiche deserves a salad. And by that, I mean some baby arugula. We're gonna sprinkle about 1 cup right on top. I cannot wait a minute longer. I'm going in for a corner piece. Cannot wait to taste this. I'm gonna make sure I get some of that breakfast sausage in this bite. I love the red onions, love the thyme, and that arugula on the top just gives it this freshness that takes it all the way up there over those clouds. This is truly, truly epic. It is mad genius. It's quiche Justin, and it is made with love.